Welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones. I am a certified personal trainer, and I'm here to help you achieve your fitness goals without pain. In each episode, I'll share tips and strategies that will help you stay safe and pain-free while you're working out. I'll also interview experts in the field of fitness and pain management. So if you're ready to learn how to stay active and pain-free, then subscribe to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast today. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pain-Free Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Jones, and today I am joined by Renee Moten. Renee is a certified personal trainer with over 27 years of experience, a massage therapist, an author, and an inventor. She previously served as the fitness director at Columbia Country Club in Bethesda, Maryland, where she worked extensively with clients seeking long-term, sustainable movement solutions. Since 2007, she has built a thriving fitness practice as a passionate entrepreneur, delivering over 25,000 one-on-one training sessions, teaching more than 5,000 classes. Her work is uniquely focused on helping women overcome knee pain, and her innovative, results-driven approach has helped countless clients significantly reduce and, in many cases, completely eliminate chronic knee pain. Renee, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. I was almost shocked when I seen your title about working with athletes that have injuries. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get on her show. I gotta talk to her. So thank you so much for having me on here today. I appreciate you so much.
I do feel like we're kindred spirits just because of so many of our paths cross, not like directly, but we definitely have the same philosophical approach. And there's more of us coming. So I like that we're not alone, but you're definitely a pioneer when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
So what led you to create Heal My Knees and focus on non-surgical solutions? Because a lot of times we don't have choices.
Yeah, you're totally right. Well, first of all, thank you for asking. My particular journey basically started with an ankle injury. Ankle injury turned into a foot problem and then to a knee problem. So I go to my first orthopedic doctor, and he basically says, lose weight and strengthen your leg muscles. Now, I'm not a personal trainer. I mean, how much weight did I have? But that was what he gave me. And so I really would say that what should really driven me on this path has been just pain. Okay, just pain. So you go to your doctor and you go to the physical therapist, and you go to your personal trainer, because that's what I did. I hired it to get strong like he told me to. And it didn't work. And then I went to another doctor. He said the same thing. So I went to 4 different doctors, and they all said the same things. But they did add a little bit of, you want to get a shot, or you want to take, it was Celebrex at the time. And you take those.
I remember that stuff.
Exact Celebrex at the time. I'm like, I'm not in that much pain. But that's what they had out there for me. And I knew that just watching my mother and my sister suffer from joint problems, that they were not going to be able to help me. So then I started to seek non-surgical, non-drug, non-shots. I started to seek those out for myself. And 2014, I finally figured it out.
So when a client comes to you and says, hey, my knee's bugging me, what is the first thing that you have them do?
Well, first thing we do is we have a 30-minute consult. And inside of that consult, I don't even worry about their knee. The only thing I ask is, how long have you been in pain? And then I go after, do you have corns? Do you have calluses? Do you have bunions? Do you have plantar fasciitis? Do you wear orthotics? And they'll say, how did you know that? I said, well, that's usually what comes along with it. Then I kind of skip over the knee, and then I go and say, what's going on with your back? What's going on with your hips? They're like, well, how do you know that? I said, just let me know. And then I literally go all the way up to their neck to see what's going on up there. One thing I do is I look at the whole body. I never just look at the knee. And so I work my way up. And then once I have figured out what's going on with their bodies, then I say, well, what did the doctor say? And then we go, I said, what is the diagnosis? And then from there, I take them through my 6-step process of reducing their inflammation, reducing their swelling, get them back to flexibility, stabilizing them, and then getting them strong. It's got to go step by step by step by step. And the key is I never focus on the knee. I have to get the whole body healed first before I even worry about what's going on with their knees.
That's interesting, because I know you and I spoke about Dr. Pete Agoscu and how in one particular circumstance, for those of you who have not read his book, Pain-Free, he talked about a football player who had a wrist injury and had, I don't know, more than 7 surgeries on his wrist, and found out it was a shoulder. And once he freed up the poor man's shoulder, his hurt anymore. And I think a lot of times there is that focus where we're such a fast food society where we're like, my knee hurts, I need my knee to stop hurting, so please tell me what to do with my knee. And sometimes people can be frustrated when they're dealing with you and saying like, I came for my knee, like, why do you care what my hip's doing or what my shoulders are doing?
Exactly.
But there's a reason why they call it a kinetic chain.
I think the thing that I have come to discover is most people come to me by the time they're like maybe a year in pain, something like that. And I have to share with them, see, the knee is no longer a symptom. The knee becomes a symptom after a certain period of time because you can't go after the knee anymore. You have to go after step by step and building that foundation under the knee before you even think about going after the knee. So the knee actually is a problem at first, and then it becomes the symptom of, like you said, the kinetic chain being out of balance.
What are common mistakes that people make when they try to do their own care, especially when it comes around knees?
Renee, I need some exercises. I need to strengthen. I need to find out more exercises. Even though they know they don't work, even though they've come out of physical therapy, the one thing they always want to do is strengthen. And only thing what I have to share with people when it comes to strengthening, your knee is inflamed. Your knee is sore. It hurts. It aches. And you're going to try to strengthen that particular joint when it's not ready to be healed. And believe me, the exercises that are out there that online that it says these are helping you to strengthen your knee, they're not talking about people like me that got knee problems. They're talking about a healthy knee, everyone. They're talking about healthy knees. Those, they can do that if you have healthy knee, you can do those exercises. Just we need to stay away from exercising to get ourselves out of pain. It just does not work. You know, I've done it. I was in with my personal trainer, and I started off with my right knee hurting, you know, when I first went to him. And by the time I finished 4 years later, then my left knee started to hurt. You know, so that's the biggest mistake people can do is start to try to strengthen those leg muscles around that knee because it just doesn't work.
It's funny because with chronic pain, it's kind of the same thing.
Mm.
You can't just like, and I'll give myself as an example, as a migraine sufferer, you can't just say, I'm going to fix the headache and what am I going and just go right after it because there's a reason for the headache and it usually has to do with body tension. Okay, well, go ahead and relax. All right, well, yeah, that's not happening right away.
Yeah.
So then you have to start looking at like, what are the things in your environment that are causing this tension?
Mm-hmm.
And then the piece that I was missing for a long time is my response to the things in my environment because I wasn't acknowledging the response. So I was just looking at like, oh, I'm going to work and that's stressful. Maybe I shouldn't work anymore, right?
Okay.
Which would be lovely. But then I had to learn like, oh, if somebody tells me like they don't like what I did, it's not unsafe. It's just not, I don't appreciate it maybe, and I don't like it. It's not wrong either, but, and just finding different ways to interpret the situation to calm my body down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's that inflammation piece, right? Like, so you're dealing with a knee that's inflamed and you don't aggravate it. Right. You soothe it. You make it, you kind of love it up and tell it it's safe and you're not going to do stupid crap to aggravate it more to do that. And I had to do the same thing. It's like, just because somebody says something to me doesn't mean I'm unsafe. It doesn't mean I'm going to die tomorrow or whatever. And then I just have to either work out the frustration that I may not like what they say, but maybe it's true or maybe it's not true or whatever it is. But then no, I'm okay. And I don't need to hold on to this. And our bodies hold on to inflammation like nobody's business. I mean, it is definitely, I think it's become a comfort thing for humans between the food that we put in our bodies, between the demands that we put on our bodies now. And also, I think sitting has increased it as well because we think we can do the things we did when we were little kids, like saying, come off the couch.
Yeah.
And you can't come off sitting in an office chair for 8 hours and then just go run off and feel like, I'm 20 again or whatever it may be, right? There's a buildup, and you have to every step that you go, there has to be that comfort level of like, this is okay. This is what we're doing right now. And exactly what you're saying is that we got to get you to where you feel safe, and then we can work on some mobility stuff to make sure that the joint is moving properly and that you feel comfortable and stable, right? Which usually comes from the feet. And then after that, then we can work on doing some,
Absolutely.
strengthening things to get you going and off and running again.
Yeah, that is so right on the head. And, I can't tell you how many times I've been given strength and exercise. I even have a video. You gotta see this video of me, Dana. I have a brace on my knee and I'm trying to do lunges. I look like a fool, because that's all it kept telling us to do. Lunges. That's all that was out there. And that's why I know that none of that stuff works. None of it works. And I think that is one of the main things that I want to really share is that we cannot strengthen a joint that is already inflamed and sore. And one other thing I want people to think about is I believe it's a bigger mistake is when they get cortisone injection. Now I understand it. I get it. I get it. You're in pain. However, you have to understand that that stuff also does damage to the cartilage. And to me, I feel that the orthopedic industry gives you that because they know they can't fix you. So you're like, let me see if I can soothe your pain for right now, because I know you're going to need surgery in the future. So if you can stay away from those cortisone injections and come and see people like myself and you, Dana, then we can help them to get out the pain the natural way and not actually damaging their cartilage more with the
Well, and I know the shots are also a problem too because it gives people a false sense.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And so then they go do stupid crap because they're like, it doesn't hurt. And then and we've seen, I know the NBA put a limit on the amount of shots that players were allowed to receive in a calendar year. I think it was 3, because they were doing a lot. And then all of a sudden they had these athletes that were snapping Achilles. And I'm curious about NFL right now because there is that situation where this year isn't terrible, but I think it was last year and the year before, they had so many Achilles snaps that I'm curious about how many people had cortisone shots before that happened, because we know cortisone breaks down cartilage as well as the tendon, and it weakens it
Yeah.
as a part of the healing, quote unquote healing process.
Mhm.
And so if you go and put a high demand or, like if you're a football player talking about, 230 pounds, and then who knows what happens when you're running into somebody or whatever, that pressure, thousands of pounds of pressure on that one point, of course it's going to snap. So it's something it's as we're starting to see a lot more injuries,
Mhm.
you're starting to wonder about these therapeutics that are being introduced that aren't natural to us.
Yeah, I never even thought about that. I'm pretty sure that has to happen. The people that come to me need cortisone, and they don't even play football or basketball,
Right.
so I can imagine how much they may be getting shot up with that stuff. I know what you're talking about, somebody that couldn't run up and down the stairs, and all of a sudden they get a cortisone shot, like, "Oh, I can do that now." And you just causing more damage, double damage, because now you have the damage of running up and down the stairs without stopping because you're in pain, and then you have a drug that's also tearing down your cartilage. It's like a double whammy. I'm sorry to say, but it's just not right. And people just need to get educated.
So what kind of success have you had with your system?
I just wanted to bring up one of my, I call her my superstar. Her name is Gail. And Gail came to me was diagnosed with bone on bone. She had been in a car accident. So she had bone on bone, she had bone on bone. And then she was in a car accident. She had disc problems in her back, and then she got something going on with her hips. And she came into my class, not able to hardly do anything. And even though she was very fit, she just couldn't do anything because she was always in pain. So I took her through my 6-step process. Boom, boom, boom. We went through the process. And I think probably after about, I don't know, about a good 6 months of really, because one thing about Dana, when they come to me, they don't just have knee problems. They got all these other problems that I have to work on also. And that's where all my experience of personal training comes in. And so one day she sent me this picture of her. She was climbing a tree, climbing a tree that was 280 feet in the air. She was climbing a tree on that. And then probably about a couple months later, it showed her jumping off a pier into the water, bungee jumping type thing. And what happened one time, she was in her house not too long ago. I would almost say like 8 months ago, maybe, walking through her house, and she tripped and fell and tore her right meniscus. Okay. Since that right meniscus, going through my program step by step, you got to go step by step. She just came back. She went to Antarctica and she went to Australia. And now she's going to Scotland. And this is all because she's sticking with the program. She's going through the maintenance. She's doing a recipe and she still has her knees. So usually when you get to me, I can usually save your knees. However, it's just when they've taken all these cortisone injections and the knees have started to bow, that's when I usually get them ready for surgery. But other than that, you come to me and I hook you up.
That's great. So how dangerous is it? Because I know a lot of people get frightened by hearing bone on.
You know, the thing about bone on bone, and somebody tells me, I said, let me see your x-ray. Give me your x-ray. And when I see the x-ray, I'm almost shocked. I said, I cannot believe they told you that. And another thing is about bone on bone is I always ask them, you need to ask your doctor one question. Do you have a meniscus? Because if you have a meniscus, how are you going to have bone on bone? Like, ask them the question. And then I take their x-ray and I show them. I said, see here, you have cartilage here. See, bone on bone does not mean you don't have any cartilage. That's not what it means. Okay? You have cartilage there. Now, have I seen some that have been really bad? That's because these people have been in cortisone injections. They've been in pain for over 7 years, usually over 7 years, 7 years and up. If they've been doing the cortisone injections and they've been synthetic injections and all that kind of thing, yeah, the knee has already started to bow. It usually bows after 7 years. Okay? And then they start to see that you really have a big problem with the actual bones are starting to touch. But even when they touch, if you're touching a little bit, you can still kind of save them. But it's only when you can see it has crushed into it that you know that I can still work with you, I can still get you out of pain until you need your surgery. However, bone on bone does not mean you don't have any cartilage. You just need to check. You need to understand how to check your own x-ray. And I can show you how to do that.
That's a big one because a lot of times they don't let you see your stuff.
We had to wait for like 3 months for Canada to send hers.
Mhm.
And I said, give me your x-ray. She said, Renee, they won't get me your x-ray. So we was back and forth and I finally got them, because I can tell you if I can help you if you show me your x-ray.
Well, and it's your insurance is paying for it, it's your medical records, and you should have access to all those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting when they don't. I've seen my X-rays, and I had somebody who looked at mine and was like, "Oh, your knees are whatever," and I was like, "Do you see that gap?" I'm like, "They're beautiful." I was like, "I was a softball catcher, and I still have all that space in there." I'm like, "I am golden."
was I was shocked at I was been in pain. I think I'm on my 15th year. And I was going to get my x-ray. I said, yeah, I got the bone on bone thing going on here. And I looked at him. I said, oh no. That was the first time I knew that I had stopped the deterioration. I've been in
Mm.
pain for 20 years. Well, longer than that now. Why am I out of pain? Because I stopped the deterioration and I got the x-rays to prove it from 2004 all the way up to till 2020. I have the x-ray to show that I don't have the deterioration. And that's what I do. I stop the deterioration.
Hey, so if I'm home and what is one piece of advice you'd give me if I'm starting to have a little knee pain or like aside from coming to see you, what is something that I could do aside from not an exercise or whatever?
The main thing that you want to do is you need to do your ankle circles. That has to be the utmost thing that we can do for ourselves. Because as soon as you do that, it takes the stress off the knee. And many times I used to have it in my class when I was doing webinars. They're like, just like your ankles, your knee was saying thank you. So something like just some basic ankle circles to do, it's fantastic. I would say do about 30 of them if you can get to 30 without causing any type of stress. Do that about 3 times a week.
Yeah, that's actually one of mine that I do, and I hate them. And even when I do them, I hate them. But it's so funny because when I first started them, I would do them, and it was very clunky.
Mhm,
Like, I couldn't do a circle. It
mhm.
was like a square, and then it kinda turned into a triangle, and then eventually everything got used to it, and then I started making some circles. Sometimes they're ovals, and sometimes, but the third doing 30, so what she's talking about is you do 30 in one direction, you do 30 in another direction, then you point and flex,
Yeah.
and it'll flame up your lower leg. I mean, for those of you who are over a certain age, having that stability in that particular joint will prevent falls.
Yes.
I mean, without a doubt.
Yes.
Because we're so uneven in our lower leg strength because everybody wants to do calf raises because they look pretty and you can see them. But that front of your leg, that anterior tibialis needs to be strong as well. And that's partly because your foot needs to be able to lift. Now, if you don't have that strength, then your toes don't lift as you're walking. And then that's when you catch your toes and then you fall on your face and you break a wrist or you do whatever. I had a client tell me that the sidewalk jumped up and grabbed her. Um, and she said, well, there's this spot and it's always there and whatever. And I was like, uh-huh. And we worked on all that stuff. And then miraculously, she was able to start walking again. She got rid of her plantar fasciitis. And then she went and she was jumping in the pool and nothing hurt and all that stuff. But she was sure to blame the sidewalk for the reason why she fell. And she hit hard, like she busted up her face. I mean, it was a quick grab slap into the concrete, so it was rough, but she was sure it was the sidewalk.
It's powerful than you just said that, and if coaches are listening here, for your athletes, especially we're getting all these ACL tears, you strengthen that tibialis anterior muscle. You strengthen that shin muscle. The muscle goes right underneath the knee. It stops the knee from going forward and causing those ACL tears. We got to get that muscle strong. And then you got to know how to stretch it out. I mean,
Yeah,
oh
which
my
is
gosh.
tough.
If the
It
coaches,
is a tough area.
the coach could just do that, work on that particular muscle, I know they can probably see less ACL tears, especially in the women.
Yeah. No, that's a biggie. And, for those of you who get shin splints, I'm telling you, you do those circles, you're not gonna get shin splints
Well,
anymore.
for the tibialis anterior, you ever tap your foot to music? That's what
Mhm.
you need to be doing there. Just sitting there and tap, and there, there's like 4 different levels, but you have to start to lift up your toe. And most of the time when you do that, those shins will start to hurt almost, 30 of those while you're sitting there looking at the TV, and then learn how to turn your toenails down to stretch them. Powerful, powerful tool.
Yeah. I will do even in child's pose or the prior to
Yeah.
getting into child's pose, if you sit on your shins with your feet flat, a
Mm.
lot of people and you'll know and you have to be smart about it. So if it hurts a lot or you don't have that flexibility of that pointing position for your toes, then you start off on your hands and knees and you just lean back a little bit and sit in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You sit in it for a minute or 2. Well, it usually takes I find about between the second and third minute, all of a sudden your body goes, "Oh, this is what we're doing. Okay." Right? So for those of you who are like, "Oh, I stretched it for 10 seconds, I should be good." Your body does not like to be stretched for 10 seconds.
Mhm.
It's not That's not what you do. You have to really hold that stretch for your body to settle into it and relax, and then you can actually feel the lengthening that's occurring while you're doing your stretch. And of course, those static stretches are after you do something, right? You don't, hop off the couch and be like, I'm going to do a static stretch because nobody's going to like that. So, Renee, what is next for you in terms of like all the wonderful things because you're helping so many people. So, how can you help more people?
Well, the number one thing what's happening that's coming out in February. My new book is actually named after me.
Woohoo.
The Moten Method for Knee Pain Relief. That's coming out in February. And I think everything I've had in my head is all going in that book. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going after the orthopedic industry just because I need people to take a paradigm shift on how we're thinking. I mean, Arthritis has been around since the 1700s and they still don't have a cure. And so it's that kind of stuff. But then the main thing is my knee pain reduction strap for athletes. This is the only strap in existence that does eversion, inversion, eversion, inversion. No strap does it in a strengthening way. You'll use that TheraBand to do it. Mine
Mhm.
latches around the foot and then it goes into eversion, inversion. But the key here is that you go to inversion, full range of motion, and then you take the muscle and pull it back. So now it's going to strengthen those muscles. Yes, that no strap does. So you talking about that ankle rolling could be a thing of the past. Ankle rolling injury, it will still roll, but it won't hurt it because every time you go full range of motion, then the collagen comes out and starts to help that tendon get stronger. Boom.
Nice.
Yes, I love this strap.
I love it. So, how can people get in touch with you?
The easiest way to get in touch with me is to go to healmyknees.com and leave me a chat there anytime. And I check that. It will signal me that you've come to my website and I will definitely get back to you. So I just love to be able to help people with this because I know I was out there for 20 years lost and I don't want that to happen to anyone else.
Renee, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.